I just want to share with you, this past year in my life, I lost a lot of things. I lost my career. I love you too. I lost my career, and I got to a point where I thought that everything that I'd ever done here, otherwise I thought it was all meaningless. Nothing I ever did has mattered to anyone. And I was wrong. I was wrong.
Just to walk you guys back to Thursday, as far as where I was, how I found out the news and everything. I was actually at my second job last Thursday. And I was actually waiting on my good friends in Mission Joe over there on Wrestling Soup. I was actually on my 15-minute break right before my shift ends. I like to hold off my break as long as humanly possible until I feel I absolutely need to take it. And normally Thursdays, I try to coordinate my break right when they're about to do their thing, if I can help it, or I just go ahead, sit in my car, jam to some music for a little bit and everything. But Thursday, I found myself going on my break, doing what I normally do, sitting down at a little bench not too far from the job, pulling out my phone. I'm browsing the web and everything. I pop up in the Discord, say hello to a couple of people, and then I see something about Bray Wyatt. It was like a notification that I got on my phone outside of the Discord. I'm going, the hell? Like, what's going on here? So I opened up X Twitter. Next thing I know, I see the hashtag. I got my phone and all that app and everything. I got it set up in a way where certain hashtags, certain names, things like that, I can get little email notifications, and then my phone will do a little bloop, let me know what's going on so I can check it out if I want and everything. So I open it up, go to X Twitter. That's pretty much how I find out. And I'm going, what the hell? And the very first thing that I read was Triple H's post. It's the very first thing I read. And I had to fight back tears. I had to fight back tears like a mother. I'm not BSing you guys. I got instantly depressed. And longtime listeners that know me, familiar with the show and everything, you all know that I have battled off and on depression for a lot of years. And it turns out my depression, at the core, it's all tied to my diabetes, right? But that's a different story for another time. But the level of depression, just great sadness that I felt right then and there, hearing about Bray Wyatt's passing, it gutted me. Like when I found out Robin Williams passed away. It gutted me like that. It gutted me when I found out. And the way I found out, by of all people, my best friend at the time, when Lane Staley of Alice in Chains died. And by the time I found out about this, the man had been dead for almost 2 weeks. I called into, at that time, my favorite local radio station, DC 101. Called it in the afternoon, and I remember when the DJ had picked up, I said to him, yo, my friend is telling me some crazy news about, that ain't true, right? And he goes, dude, where the hell you been? No, it's true. He's dead, man. I'm sorry to break it to you. Yeah, he's dead. I'm like, what the hell happened? And yeah, at that time, information was still, it was coming together. It was just little pieces here and there and everything. But I remember where I was when I found out. I remember where I was when I found out Michael Jackson passed away. I remember where I was when Prince died. I remember where I was when I found out the news about Kurt Cobain or Chris Farley, right? All of these names that I'm throwing out there, they meant a lot to me as not just a human being, but they meant a lot to me as a fan of their respected work. And Bray Wyatt definitely part of that category. My heart, my thoughts, my condolences, it definitely goes out to the friends, colleagues, family members of Bray Wyatt. That is just, I can only imagine what they are going through right now. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I don't care how much I might dislike somebody. That's just something I would not wish upon them. Those children, those young children that are left behind. JoJo, a young widow, hadn't been married to Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda that long. And, now she's got to somehow pick up the pieces and push forward, if not for herself, for the children that they had together. They somehow gotta, I'm thinking about Bo Dallas. I'm thinking about their dad. I'm thinking about everybody. Everybody is in my thoughts, my prayers. You got my deepest condolences because it's a tough journey that's ahead for them. They're never, make no mistake about it, they are never, ever going to be made whole. They're never going to be okay. You never forget. Yeah, eventually, the old saying about time heals all wounds. Well, in this case, no, it's not going to heal. You're never going to forget, but somehow you got to figure out a way to push forward and everything. 36 years old. That is just, that's way too young. I remember when I had found out the news going back to Thursday. First person I text was Tams. She loved Bray Wyatt. She didn't particularly care for the Fiend gimmick. She was a big supporter of his work and everything. And I remember when I texted her about Bray Wyatt, first thing she's asked me was, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm rocked." And she's like, "What happened? What the hell happened?" I'm like, "I don't know." It's like, "We don't know right now." And then, of course, we hear that little piece of news that Sean Ross Sapp was able to share as he put out a post on the X Twitter saying, "I was given permission to reveal that earlier this year, Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt, got COVID that exacerbated a heart issue. There was a lot of positive progress towards a return and his recovery. Unfortunately, today he suffered a heart attack and passed away." So you hear that and you're going, what the hell? And then TMZ dropped a bombshell piece of news earlier today from what they were able to learn from their respected sources. And normally I always say, hey, when it comes to TMZ, take whatever they're putting out there with a little bit of a grain of salt and everything. But when it's come to their wrestling related news these past couple of years, they have been bullseye accurate and everything. But in a new update, and this is really, really tragic, really freaking tragic. TMZ learned that Wyatt had been taking a nap at the time of his unfortunate heart attack, which killed him. As according to law enforcement records that were obtained by TMZ, his fiance, former WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman, became worried when she heard his alarm going off an hour later without stopping. Now, look, you and I, somebody we know, we've all been there. Time for us to get up. We do not want to get up. We don't. We want to sleep for an extra 5-10 minutes, depending on how tired we are, how much of a rough night we had night before. We're probably going to do our best to sleep through that alarm. Okay? We are probably going to do our best to sleep through that alarm. I know for me, usually what will ultimately get me out the bed these days is my youngest dog, Chloe. She will lick my face to death. She'll lick my bald head. Once she hears that alarm clock from my phone or tablet, she knows what time it is, right? She knows I'm getting ready to get up. I'm getting ready to do something. So she will keep messing with me until I finally get out the bed. If I don't have access to them, if I know my wife or somebody is nearby, I will let that freaking alarm continue to go off in hopes that maybe one of them, somebody will just come into the bedroom, shut it off, and keep right on going. Right? My wife is a deep sleeper. Some of my friends, deep sleepers. I mean, I have watched them literally sleep past 5 minutes as the alarm is just continuing to go off and everything. You got some that are deep sleepers like that. In some instances, you got to just be on top of them, shaking them and all that loveliness, right? It's kind of scary, but, once you kind of know what that person is about, okay, they're a deep sleeper. You got to do a lot to really wake them up. You got some people that are deep sleepers, and then you have others that are extremely light sleepers. I've been taking melatonin for years, and I've got to be dead ass tired. I mean, dead tired in order for somebody to just constantly I would say these days, if I'm lucky, I can probably sleep past my alarm for 5 minutes before I finally come to. But I know of others, they go a lot longer than that and everything. But JoJo became worried after she heard that alarm go off for as long as it did. She and her mother, apparently, they found him in the bed, not breathing, and he was turning blue, according to the report. Now, just stop and think about that. Bray Wyatt's got, Bray Wyatt that we've seen time and time again. He's had a little bit of a tan going on. So just stop and think about that. He was turning blue. So JoJo's mother had tried to attempt CPR while JoJo called 911. Wyatt was later pronounced deceased at the hospital. But wait, here's the real heartbreaker right here. Here's the real heartbreaker. So doctors had recommended to Wyatt that he keep a heart defibrillator with him. Now, not for nothing, but if you guys remember the Triple H Stephen A interview, what was that, from last year or whatnot, where Triple H broke the news about, where he broke the news about his in-ring career being over and everything. He even said, doctors told me I got to wear a defibrillator. So, yeah, I doubt that people are going to want to watch me get zapped in the middle of the ring. Remember that? That's exactly what was said and everything. So, and to the person in the chat that said, It's 2023, not 2020. You know, I can easily, don't focus. Don't be a dick. Don't come off like a dick. You know, it's a mistake. Yeah, no shit. It's a mistake. That's what makes us human beings. We all make mistakes. And you can't help but think about this critical moment for Bray Wyatt right here, where you can't help but wonder, man, if he had that defibrillator, to my point, doctors told him he needed to push that. He needed to start doing that. Now, whether or not he started doing that, your guess is as good as mine. But one thing that we know for certain, when this man passed away, guess where that device was? That device was in his car. I mean, let that sink in for a second. Let that sink in for a second. You go to a doctor. You're trying to get some tests. You're trying to get in the good word, all that good stuff. You're trying to figure out, you know, okay, so what's the good word? Can you give me some good news? And the doctor says to you, well, you know, this is kind of checking out okay. And this kind of looks a little worrisome, a little bit concerned about this. You know, as far as a recommendation goes, I'm going to say, you really should be pushing a defibrillator. We recommend that you push that. Now, I need for the younger listeners to understand something here. That thing, that device, to the point that Triple H had made in that interview with Stephen A. Smith, that is literally sending a voltage to the heart. Understand it. That's literally what it's doing. Because the heart has gotten to a point where it's not pumping out as much blood as it's supposed to, right? There is such things as an irregular heartbeat, all that craziness, right? I know a thing or two. I'm not making it be about me. I'm just helping you guys, full context, really be able to grasp this and everything. And when a doctor is essentially telling you, hey, look, man, you're going to need to go in this direction in regards to your heart and everything. As some of you all know, you know, my health issues, you know, the last checkup that I did, my blood pressure through the roof. And I had to get my blood pressure checked multiple times. Finally, the diagnosis was you're dealing with some form of hypertension. So now I'm giving this medicine that is supposed to bring my heart down because it's beating so damn fast that, you know, it's working overtime. And it has nothing to do with weight. It has nothing, you know, because they told me straight up, they're like, you can lose all the weight that you want. They're like, this problem that you're having right here, continue to go untreated, could be some serious problems, you know, down the road. Okay, so what do you recommend? Right? And I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on what was going on with Bray. Why was that device? I'm not going to speculate on that. For all we know, because I know there's going to be those that are going to go there. And that's a very, very, just like there's some people that want to go there in regards to his vaccination status. There are those that are wondering if, hey, did he get the vaccine? Because if he did get the vaccine, you know, is it possible that as a result of getting the vaccine that, you know, exacerbated his condition? I ain't touching that. I ain't touching none of that. Leave me alone when it comes to that. I'm not going down. You conspiracy theorists, folks out there, if y'all want to go in that direction, you guys can go on ahead. You can have at it. But I'm not touching that. And he had just saw the doctors earlier in the day when he had got that recommendation and everything. Now, we were hearing up until his passing that supposedly everything was looking pretty good, that any day now he possibly could be coming back to the WWE and everything. We heard all these scenarios as far as story arcs that might have been going on with him, potential stables. There's quite a few little reports that was floating around out there. I remember many weeks back, one idea I had toyed around with was, hey, maybe we could see him do something with Cody. That would be kind of badass, right? Cody needs a new challenger now. Why not Bray Wyatt? Why not have him step in there? And, that should be pretty damn good, seeing those guys get it on and everything. That was my pick as far as what's going to be next for Cody and everything. It's just, what do you say about that? To hear about somebody passing away like that. Very sad, very tragic, definitely untimely, totally unexpected. His passing is a strong reminder, I personally feel, of appreciate the here and the now while you're living in the moment, because you just don't know. Sincerely, you just don't know when your time is up. And you know what? That's how I've been trying to live life. That's the biggest piece of advice that I try to give anybody, especially younger folks. Because I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. And I always try to tell folks, hey, man, make sure you're doing your part to live life to the fullest. Do your best to make sure that as far as no regrets, right? No regrets. Put yourself in a position where you can look yourself in the mirror, and that's literally my advice, right? To anybody that is hearing this right now, which is, if you were to not wake up tomorrow, how do you feel about your life up to this point, this exact moment right now, as you're hearing me, whether you're going to be checking this out on demand or on the downloads, in regards to your life, if it were to end right now while you're sleeping? Are you content? Were you able to do everything that your heart desired? Were you able to go out there and do your best to conquer the world? Did you make an impact? Right? That's really something that I want you guys, as far as the biggest takeaway from his passing, I want you guys to really, really take that to heart. And if your answer is, well, honestly, Lee, up to this point, no, I don't really feel as though I've accomplished it all. I don't feel like I've accomplished anything. Then my question to you is, if you're able to wake up tomorrow, my question to you is, okay, so what's stopping you? What's stopping you? Is it yourself? Is it an individual? Is it some type of circumstance that's out of your control? What is it that is putting you in a position where you can't jump out there and pursue your dreams, your ambitions? Take that to heart for what it's worth. Take that to heart, because only you know the answer to that. But I hope that it strikes a chord with you to the point that you go, yeah, you know what? Damn it. I need to do something about this. I need to change this already. And, that's the reminder that I take with me when I hear about deaths like this. You know, I'm only a handful of years older than Bray. I've got him beat by 6, going on 7 years. But I can remember being that age. I can remember being in my 30s, seeing all the people that were just dropping left and right, and then really being shaken to the core during what was going on with COVID, and just going, yo, I just don't know. My time could be up any damn day. Let me make sure I'm jumping out there and living life to the fullest. And, you know, I love seeing everybody in the wrestling community, those that Bray was friends with, those that maybe he worked with. I love seeing all the great tributes that was coming left and right on social media, because it really has seemed these past several days that as a community, we all have been mourning together. And one of the things that I have thought about off and on until now was the JTG story from Damn, Why Did I Write This Book? And I don't know if you guys read the first volume and the second volume, but he tells a really great story, and I'll share it with you guys. And this tells you everything that you need to know about Bray Wyatt, okay? Forgive me if you've already heard this, but I actually own JTG's books. You know, we've had him on the show a couple of times. I love the hell out of JTG. I think the world of the man. But this story that he shared of Bray Wyatt just totally kicks ass. So the story as it goes, JTG and Bray Wyatt, they're riding together, okay? They're driving buddies for this endeavor. I can't remember what city they were going to. I can't tell you if they were going to a Raw or if they were going to a SmackDown. I'm getting up there in age, so my memory isn't as clear as it used to be. But they were on their way to an event. That much I remember for certain, okay? So they're going, and somebody else was on the road with them in another vehicle. It was some other wrestlers, okay? But just home in on JTG and Bray Wyatt. They're riding together. So I'm trying to remember who was driving. If I'm not mistaken, Bray was driving. And you have this vehicle that just all of a sudden comes into the traffic, and it's just weaving and a bobbing. Think back to the very sad story I had told you guys about of the accident that I had took part in, as far as trying to rescue survivors and all that bad hit and run I told you all about from a couple of weeks ago, right? Remember how I told you that the car that ultimately caused the messed up accident and all that, how he was weaving and bobbing, not even signaling intent, just sharply changing lanes, throwing people off. I mean, you just mix in the speed. It's a bad cocktail of, yo, some shiznits is going to go down, right? So that's exactly what was going on with this car that cut Bray off and JTG, and it's just weaving and a bobbing, all this other craziness, right? And I believe Bray had said something along the lines of, man, those guys aren't careful. Well, sure enough, because the car got past him and everything. Next thing you know, that same car did a couple of rolls, and it was belly up. So naturally, Bray Wyatt, he sees what's going on. He decides, we got to help those people. JTG, for whatever his respected reason, part of it was, yeah, that car, it could set on fire. There could be an explosion, right? JTG does not want to help the people in this car. And Bray Wyatt is going, nah, man, we freaking gotta go. We need to do this right now. These people need help. We need to go help these people. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Lives are on the line here. We gotta go. We need to do this now. JTG still being extremely reluctant, doesn't want to do it. I don't know how Bray Wyatt was able to get JTG to finally cave in and help, but JTG finally helped. And after everything was said and done, Bray and Jay, they got back in the car, drove to the venue. I can't remember if they made it on time, but Bray did not talk to the other wrestlers once they got to the arena about what happened. He didn't mention it to the higher ups, management, nobody. It was almost just, hey, went to the store, grabbed a Snickers, and yeah, it was just one of those type of things. So talk about an unsung hero right here, right? He could have all the respected reason in the world, because they cut him off and all that. He could have easily just said, oh, I remember those guys. Hey, Karma's a you know what? They got what's coming to them. It serves them right. This is exactly what they get, right? But he didn't leave them hanging like that. Turns out it was a bunch of kids that was in the car. It was a bunch of kids that they had rescued. And the messed up part about that whole story, when these kids had got rescued and everything, you think those kids had said, oh man, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Oh man, this means so much. Oh, thank you. You think they were appreciative? And no, the only thing that they could think about was the fact that their parents were going to be extremely upset. Right down to the point they were begging Bray and JTG to not tell their parents. I'm trying to understand, in what reality do you think by totaling a car that nobody's ever going to know what happened to this vehicle? You think you can just magically, I don't know, catch an Uber and go wherever, and when the question is brought up about the vehicle, you can just go and shrug? Are you serious? Right? Are you seriously? Crazy, just crazy. But that was the story. That was the Bray Wyatt story in a nutshell. You know what was another good touching? I know Top Dollar receives a lot of crap for some of the stuff that he puts out there online and everything. But if you have not seen Top Dollar's tribute to Bray Wyatt, you really need to go out of your way and check it out. Because say what you will about the guy, but after you listen to his tribute to Bray, you just go, you know what? Top Dollar, you all right, man. You're actually a cool dude. It's strange and funny, all the flack that he gets now from fans online, because I remember when we were first introduced to Top Dollar. Remember, we were introduced to him on WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. And I gravitated towards his personality off the break. I thought he was a fun-loving dude and everything. And I don't know how you guys are spinning him these days, but I tell you what, Top Dollar, I saw the guy that was given that Bray Wyatt tribute. The guy I saw in that video, that was essentially the guy I gravitated towards. Started nodding my head going, okay, I think something might be special here with this guy from the Most Wanted Treasures and everything. If you haven't watched it yet, go out of your way, check that out. Some really, really, really good stuff. For me, some of the stuff I'm going to remember for Bray Wyatt, I always felt, and I said it for years, I always felt that Bray Wyatt was a modern day Jake the Snake Roberts. I felt that man could do no freaking wrong. Seriously, that is how I felt. I know that as far as the Firefly Funhouse, your whole Fiend gimmick, I know not everybody gravitated towards that. But for me, man, I dug it. I dug that crap, man. I loved it. It was a nice combination of a slasher horror film, maybe Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, meets Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job, / watching something on local television, like not PBS, but a tier down, right? With some of the hokey dokey zangy stuff that he was doing and everything, with the Firefly Funhouse and everything. And I loved it. It was a quirky, I found it to be one of the main highlights for Monday Night Raw a couple of years back, because you just had to see what Bray Wyatt was going to do that respected week. I know of people that came back around to watching the WWE product because of that particular run that was going on with Bray Wyatt at the time. People wanted to know, okay, well, what's going on here? This is refreshing. What's going on with this guy? I got to see what this guy's going to do and everything. When Alexa Bliss got introduced into the mix, that kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. I know for me, I didn't particularly care for it. Great thoughts that Alexa Bliss had shared, by the way, showing love there to Bray Wyatt and everything. But when I looked at when Alexa Bliss entered that whole realm, you know how everything was cool when it was just Batman, and then you got Robin and you're going, well, okay. But then when you got Batgirl, you're going, right? It's kind of one of those type of deals, right? You remember the animated series of The Incredible Hulk back in the 90s? Lou Ferrigno did the voice of the Hulk. You had Luke Perry that did the voice of Rick Jones. What was that? The first season? I think it ran only 3 seasons. Like the first season, it was just all about the Hulk. And then I think the second season, they introduced She-Hulk. And I believe the third season, it was The Incredible Hulk and She-Hulk. And you're going, right? It was kind of one of those type of deals. But I loved that whole Firefly thing gimmick. Loved all of that. It's just great work. Of course, when he was doing the whole Wyatt family, I know a lot of people had wanted him to bring that back, but there was just no way that was going to happen. There was no way he was going to do a new version of that, not after the passing of Brody Lee. It's like, seriously, how do you top, right? How do you? I mean, yeah, you could try to do a remix and everything, but nothing is going to beat the original. Why even do a remix to a track that was already good? Seriously, that's the question that you got to ask yourself, right? That would be like Led Zeppelin going, hey man, this Stairway to Heaven song, it won us a lot of awards. It got us a lot of play and all of that, but we need to do a remix of that. Why? Because we just do. Like, you don't need to do that, right? I hate when some bands do that. They got to make a remix. They got to make a remix off of their hit song, and then you hear the new version and it doesn't quite sound. You need a really good example of that. Look at the new U2 album that's floating around right now, where they basically do acoustic versions of all their hit songs. But here's the thing. By the time you get done playing that new album, you're saying to yourself, Jesus, man, all of these 50 songs, they sound exactly the same. And this is coming from a hardcore U2 fan. That was one album that when I got a chance to listen to it on Spotify, after the first 2 tracks, I said, yeah, I'm out. You can miss me with all of that. Like, why even mess up a good thing? Why even try to do a revamp? Just if you want to do something that is a companion piece, maybe to that hit track that you dropped. I mean, that's one thing, right? If you liked side A, baby. If you like side A, you're going to like side B, right? So if the Wyatt family was on side A, and then you were to tell me, well, side B is going to be Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux, Eric Young, Dexter Lumis, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. That's your new stable. I'm going, okay, you might have something here as far as a remix goes, right? Or actually not even a remix, just a new track, right? Okay, you're going to follow up that great hit on side A with this track right here, right? I'm almost kind of reminded of what went down with the new Undisputed. I'll talk a little bit more about that for you sports fanatics out there. I'll give you my thoughts on the new Skip Bayless revamped Undisputed live in a bit and everything. But, that whole Cape Fear gimmick that Bray Wyatt was pushing, that was something that he had developed. What was it? Like OVW, right? Like early in incarnation, early days there, going into NXT and all that. And then I know he pretty much became Husky Harris or whatever in NXT. And it was kind of, but man, when he got back to that Cape Fear gimmick, oh man, I was loving the hell out of that. And there's a lot of stuff that Bray Wyatt was saying in his promos where, see, here's the thing. His promos back then, you could either go, okay, I'm kind of understanding what he's saying here. You had that type of audience. And then you had the other type of audience that would go, I don't know what the hell this guy is saying, but yo, this sounds really, really cool, right? And you would just be fascinated. You could just listen to this guy talk on and on and on and on and on, right? And I remember when we properly had got introduced to the whole Wyatt family on a more bigger screen and all of that, right? We're getting past the developmental and everything. I remember when we finally were able to really sink our teeth into it and everything. First thing that I thought about was the 1962 version of Cape Fear that stars 2 of the absolute greatest actors that were still kicking ass in their respected genres and everything, during the 60s and all that. And that's Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum. And to see how Bray was able to take Robert Mitchum's character of Max Caddy, combine certain elements from, right? If you really stop and think about it, he took the quiet calm, the swag from Robert Mitchum, from that version of Max Caddy. And then he took a little bit of the crazy, psyched up version from Robert De Niro's portrayal, mix it in with a little bit of Natural Born Killers / Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the rest is pretty much history. I mean, it was the perfect freaking formula. The perfect freaking formula. I ate that up. I ate it up. I loved it. Loved it. It was good stuff. Dude was years ahead of his time. It was very innovative, what he was putting out there. And the fact that this guy was able to reinvent himself over and over and over again. Some people, look, let's be honest now. I know I'm singing all of this praise, but there was definitely moments there during this run where you're going, okay, so like The Fiend. All right, we're doing all this stuff. What we got to do, shoot this guy? Right? There was some stuff where you go, I don't know about all of that, right? I still say as a fan, just as I said way back when Goldberg beat him for the Universal Championship, that was a bad move. Huge mistake. That should have never happened. My God, we could definitely be here all night and just go over some of the best respected moments from his career. Whether you want to talk about him capturing the Universal Championship, even though he only had it for a quick cup of coffee. My personal favorite memory, and I loved it. I loved it way back when. And I didn't see enough people talk about this moment, but I would imagine now revisionists are going to go back and, that was pretty damn good. But when Kane and Undertaker teamed up to take on the Wyatt family, that right there was badass. That was badass on so many levels. Wyatt family taking on the Brothers of Destruction. I freaking loved it. Bray Wyatt family taking on the Usos. That was another one. I mean, they had some damn good back and forths there with the Usos. Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. That was pretty badass for what it was worth. Of course, you got to put in there Bryan Danielson for what it's worth and everything. Just that whole magical story arc with Bryan Danielson. That was some solid ass writing. Great writing at its finest. Emotional context, as I like to say. Of course, Shield versus Wyatt family. Come on, man. When those two factions had finally locked it up on an episode of Monday Night Raw, I remember being on social media that night and everything. Myself and everybody just collectively as a wrestling community, we lost our we lost it when we found out we were going to get to see these two factions going off and everything. We felt like we were in for a rare treat. It was almost like, what have we done to deserve such an awesome gift? Because seriously, y'all need to be running this on a pay-per-view. Like, what the hell? It's really cool stuff, man. Really, really freaking cool stuff. But I'm going to miss the guy. No bull. I'm legit going to miss him. That's going to be a passing that I'm going to be thinking about definitely for years to come, because this guy was just really starting to scratch the surface. I was really starting to like what we were getting out of him this last rodeo when he came back. And I would imagine the ovation he got when he made his triumphant return. I can't remember the name of the pay-per-view right now. Forgive me, but when he made his triumphant return to end the pay-per-view and just a rock star ovation that he got and everything. Remember, this was shortly after he was released and everything. I'm sure that had to not only lift his spirits, but squash whatever reservations, doubt that he was having in himself and in his abilities. We've all been there at some point, where we're second guessing ourselves and everything. And sometimes we have to be tested, and, it sucks. It sucks when we have to be tested, but, sometimes we have to be tested once in the blue moon just to see mentally, spiritually, how tough we are. And if we can persevere, in all of that, but seeing him cut that promo on SmackDown, just outside of the makeup, the mask, all of that stuff, you're hearing him and you're going, okay, yeah, we just might be on to something here this go round with Bray. And, again, for some people they go, but, he was 36. And I always say to you guys, age ain't nothing but a number, especially in the world of professional wrestling. Look at LA Knight. Look at LA Knight. For whatever respected reasons, the previous years, it wasn't his time, but he's riding that lightning bolt right now. Better late than ever, right? There's a biblical thing or a spiritual thing that's said from time to time, which is, the Lord may not help you right then and there when you want the help, but the help always comes on time, right? And that sounds so weird when you think about that, because, you can picture somebody, maybe somebody had lost their house and they needed to raise X amount of money so they wouldn't be evicted. Yet they're facing some form of eviction, right? They weren't able to raise the money. They're facing some form of eviction. Well, maybe the way things played out at the end, it turns out someone that person A used to work with has something available, or they just won the lottery and they broke them off, right? So I always believe things happen for a reason and all of that, but definitely rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. Once again, Bray Wyatt went to Rotunda. My thoughts sincerely go out to his friends, family, colleagues. Messed up way to go out. Seriously, messed up way to go out. I'm pulling for you all, though. Seriously, in these coming days, I'm pulling for you guys.
I just can't believe it.
We certainly appreciate the support.